Hi, thanks for tuning into my SteamParty how-to videos. In this video, we're going to talk about generic shooter integration. It's a very awesome plugin created by Aller, game making uh, studios. They have a first-person, third-person template that's pretty popular on the marketplace. I definitely would suggest anyone who hasn't checked it out to check it out. It's really awesome starter kit to get your first and third-person game going. It's kind of like a Quake style game, or a Team Fortress, where you jump in and you're shooting each other in an arena style. So you have your death match and stuff like that. So basically, that's been a pretty high request from a lot of people that's bought in the Steam Party plugin to have an integration video. So this is my attempt at doing that, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. So the first thing I did was I got a clean new project. I'm using 4.17.1 for the engine version. So I'll go ahead and go to the plugin. So after fresh install, I'll go ahead and I want to go ahead and load the SteamParty plugin if you have it already installed to your engine. So we'll go to plugins and we'll go to Steam. And the main thing you want to make sure for this video and beyond is the version. Right now, this tutorial is for 1.4 version and later. If you try to use an earlier version, it will not work for some of the features I'm going to show today. And let's go ahead and turn that on and restart it. All right, so basically what we're going to accomplish is integrating the basic use of the SteamParty system to log into the game servers and also bring your party into them. So let's go ahead and do the first step after we got this all set up here is to go ahead and set the config files. I'll go ahead and go to the config file and go to default engine.ini. We'll open that bad boy up, and first thing we'll do is we'll notice that I'll post these on the YouTube channel, some of the information. We do want to have voice, so I'll go ahead and put some voice on this one. We'll do voice for this, so we'll do the voice chat. Okay, voice enabled under online subsystem, and then what we need to do is add a beacon net definition. So this is also copy and pasted. We'll put it underneath the other definitions. The main thing to see here is that this is the beacon net driver, so without this we can't have our beacons. And another thing with generic shooter specifically is this smooth frame rate that needs to be turned to true instead of false. Otherwise you'll get some errors with really high frame rates with higher end computers, causing some bandwidth saturation, network saturation with the beacon system. So this is the way to get around that problem, is to turn that smooth frame rate to true. And then our next thing we want to do is look at the online subsystem, and from settings that Aller has here, it is definitely, looks like everything's already set up. Our P2P connection timeout is 90 seconds. We definitely want to set that to 90 seconds for slower computers loading into Steam. I've had 40 seconds and 50 seconds not being long enough, or 60 seconds not being long enough for computers with slower hardware to log in to some Steam games. And then the next thing we need to add is some stuff about the beacon host. So I'll go ahead and copy this over. We'll copy this over here, right underneath the subsystem, the Steam subsystem. What we want to do is set our online beacon settings. So what listen port we have is 7787. And then what we want to do is our initial connection timeout. So basically by default it's 5 seconds. So when you first log in to beacon, through Steam, sometimes it could take a few seconds. As you use the Steam connection, the faster it gets. So the very first initial time, you want to actually increase it. Recommend to use in 20 seconds. 5 seconds can sometimes be too short, so you can go anywhere from 5 and 20 seconds. And then I would also match your beacon connection timeout with your P2P connection timeout with Steam, since we're using the Steam backend. If they disconnect, you should disconnect at the same time. So I always like to keep the timeouts as close as possible. And then that's all we need to do for the configuration files. So we'll go ahead and start up. Again, if you wanted to do push for talk, you can do that in the game, default game, ini. Let's go ahead and start up the game. All right, we have the game back up and loaded. And what we want to do is go to the game instance I'll go ahead and open some of these folders up here. We'll have to go ahead and open this up and hit view content. In fact, I'll leave that off for now to show any issues that people have. We'll go ahead and go to generic shooter, And we'll want to go to core and engine, and we'll see a BP game instance. Let me go ahead and make this bigger so people can see it. So what we're going to do is open that game instance up, and we'll want to go to File, Reparent Blueprint, because right now the parent class is game instance. We want to change that to Steam game instance. There we go. And once I change that, you'll see over here I pop in some new values. Now we have the SteamParty settings. Now quickly over these values, this is your max party size. We'll leave it 8. Your lobby beacon player state class is where you can have your own data. Like if you want to set characters back forth, you can. There's another whole video on how to set that up. Voice chat, we'll go ahead and enable voice chat. Party host game travel delay. This is something that you can play with. Basically, what this is whenever the party host is also creating a game itself. So there's some time delay that we have to give once he starts creating the new level to load to let the party members to connect to him, to get all the everything connected up on the map side. So a second is good. You may have to go up to 3 seconds. Kind of play with how long your loading times are, and if you have any issues, this is where you would change it at. So for now, I'll keep it fast. We'll keep it for 1 second. All right, we'll save that out. That's it. All we have to do on the game instance side. The next thing we need to do is set up the like the menus and stuff like that. We need to actually have interface to do that. By default, the generic shooter has the game mode. So this game mode in this map is actually this is the test map. We need to go to the menu map. That's pretty important because this is all going to be happening in the main menu. So there we go. We open that up, and we notice that we have this BP main menu here. So we'll go to here, and this is where, if you open this up, this is where the main menu widget's being created here. You see it here. So what we'll do is that we'll actually use a player controller because we need to have a player controller. So we'll go back here, and we'll go to core, and let's go ahead and create a new blueprint class. And we'll show all classes here, and do Steam Beacon Player Controller. There we go. And we'll call it PC Steam Party. There you go. Whatever you want to call that. All right, just so you know what it is. So basically, this is going to be just for the main menu, not for any other game modes. So what we'll go do is, I don't like to set them up here. I like to set them up actually inside of the blueprint. We'll open that up, and on the classes side, on the defaults, so if you click on the class defaults on the side here, we need to set that player class. Right now there is no player control besides the default one being used from the engine, so we'll go ahead and bump that up to the PC Steam Party. And then while we're in here, we also got to change our game session class because that's handling all the session handling with the Steam API. So we'll go ahead and use our Steam Beacon game session, and there we go. Save it. All right, so now we have our PC Party Steam up here. Now what we want to do is go ahead and quickly create a some widgets to show you the party. So we'll do that real quick. The first thing we want to do is on event play. I'll go ahead and create these variables here. So I'll go ahead and do a UI party panel. And try to follow, if you sit there and follow along with the example map that's provided for the Steam example, you can actually, if you follow along with the variables that are named here and copy, that's all I'm going to do, it's going to work pretty nicely for you. So we'll go ahead and just go through that process real quick. All right, we'll change this to a party panel. Now this is probably going to have a problem. As you see, I don't see a party panel. Let's see here. I still don't see a party panel. So basically what's happening is the content is not showing up. So we actually have to go to the show engine content and then show plugin content. Then once you go down to Steam Party content, UMG, we need to actually just open up the party panel one time so that the links are active or something happens. Some magic in the background happens. Like, hey, I'm here. So yes, now it can be found. So if we go back here and go to party panel, there we go. Now we have all these party panels objects that weren't there before. So little hint there. All right. Okay, now we got that bad boy set up. I want to go ahead and do a create party panel and destroy party panel function. So we'll do that real quick. Create party panel. and then I'll do function destroy party panel. And we'll go ahead and create the party panel real quick, and that's just going to be another like copy from the, here we go. We'll go ahead and pull this bad boy out, and we'll turn it to validated get. Now this is kind of like a habit. You probably don't need to do this every time, but it's just, you know, it's safe to do this way, right? So I want to go ahead and create a widget. Create widget, and then we'll do that at party panel. All right, party panel. And then what we want to do is set this to here. And now we have a valid party panel. And what we want to do is grab this boy and then set this to player screen, add to player screen. All right. Now some important things here. The Z order, we want to move it in front. If you move it to 0, the current menu design with generic shooter, the basic default setting will be on top of your controls. So you want this to be on top of that control for now for testing. Again, you'll probably want to change some of the menu items around to your own game needs so that some things don't overlap. I'm not going to go too far into that on this video, but it's something that's pretty easily done with the UMG. I'll go ahead and connect this up. And the other thing you can do is I like to do a self-reference. I know that you don't really necessarily have to do it, but I will do it here anyways. And that's pretty much it. The last thing we do need to do is set our initial party status. So current party status, set it to none. All right. That's just for sanity check. All right, that's all we need for the create party panel. And then for the destroy party panel, all we need to do is basically remove this from the parent, or the screen basically. Remove from parent. All right. And then I want to go ahead and null this out by setting it to nothing so that the pointer is released from the party panel and it can be garbage collected. All right, there we go. And I'll go back to begin play. And then what we'll do here is go ahead and call the create party panel right here. All right. And then the last thing we need to do is go ahead and we add another piece of code in case we were coming back from a party from a game, so we want to restore information. So I'll go ahead and get game instance, and want to cast that to a Steam game instance. There we go. We'll move that bad boy there, and we'll get this connected up. And then what we want to do is hit restore party. There we go. That's how we restore any party connections once we return back to the main menu. And then the next thing we need to do is literally go to our example, and I'll go ahead and go here, SteamParty example, and copy all of these over. Control copy, pull it back over, and there you have it. A little dirty trick there, but it saves a lot of time than making all those events up yourself. And then one more thing to point out is down here on the party joining game, there is you'll have an error copying some of those over for the main menu. You'll have to hook up the show loading screen specifically on generic shooter has it done, which won't be the same as the Steam example, but it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. We'll leave that open-ended for now, but there's a reminder there for you. All right, so now let's see if we hit save and compile, and we got the green check. That means we did it. We didn't miscopy something. All right, so that's pretty much it for the play controller. That's pretty straightforward. Nothing too hairy there. So let's go to the next thing is, all right, now this gets a little tricky. This is where we have to set up our session handling because we want to use the Steam Beacon session handling, for creating, our party, and then going to a game itself to pull all those people to the party. That's not done automatically, so we need to make that happen with generic shooter. So the first thing we want to do is, okay, maybe you don't want to find where all these things are because we can just go straight to UI, main menu, widgets, and menu, and then go to like host game, right? So and then if you know that host game's in here, and we know it's somewhere here. Okay, where is it exactly? So the easy way to do it is we want to look for something called create session. So we'll do that. And if you're not finding it in the blueprint, you can open any blueprint up and then type in create session. You can take this off and search in all blueprints, and you will find them all that way. And then what we want to do is actually just go to the one here in the host game. So I'll go right here. It takes us right there. And right click, and the node that we want to change it out with is create session game, which is the SteamParty session category. from the quick selection box here. And it's pretty much the same thing. So we'll just pull these things off here. Player controller, the executable nodes, sometimes a misclick. It's not very accurate there. All right, use LAN. And on the failure, we'll take these delegates here, pipe them here, and then we can just go ahead and move this bad boy out of the way, delete it, and all the noodles still line up, which is very important. Now, one more node that we have here is something that you could do is you could specify a game type. So if we wanted to create server tags, this is actually outlined for a future update for the matchmaking and reservation system. So right now, some of the functionalities aren't exposed, so like you can go ahead and just create a specific game session for deathmatch only. So we'll leave this as is. We won't worry too much about this on this video. So that's create session. The next thing we want to find is we need to do the find session. So we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll make sure look in all blueprints, and we'll do find session. Here we go, find session. Let's look for that node, and it looks like the server browser. Yes, that's the one we want to go to. We'll open that up, and the same thing as we did for the create session is we want to do find session. And we have find session game from SteamParty sessions, and it's pretty much the same kind of idea. We'll just pull off these nodes here and just inline it, basically replace and go. It's pretty straightforward. All right, use LAN, and there we go, and delete that one, and now we're all set. Again, this one is a game type. You can specify you want it all as default. It'll pull up all game types. You can put in deathmatch or team deathmatch, whatever in the future you want to do for your own matchmaking. Go ahead and move on to the next thing. So we have create session game, and we have find session game, and the last thing we need to put in is the join session game. So again, we'll do the same thing. We'll type in join session, and here it is. I know it's in the same blueprint. It takes us all the way over here, and we do the same thing. Right click. I made this pretty simple to change out. Join session game, and we'll pull off all the links. Noodle her up. Let's get all the noodles transferred over. It's very important. Okay. All right. Delete that one off, and there you have it.
So now we have the server browser done, and then we also did the host game. The last thing we're going to do is the quick play. So let's go ahead and go to the menu. This one will go directly to it. It's under WBP multiplayer. Open that up and drag it over here. And underneath there we have a find session that we need to change also. So let's go ahead and do the same thing we did before. Find session, game, and repeat, rinse. Do the same thing. Let's move everything over here real quick. And here, and here. Sometimes it doesn't connect up very nicely when you have multiple things selected here. All right, I think I got everything. Here we go. Oh, we got to get the results. That's a very important key. Get that going. There we go. All right. So find session, and then also in the quick play, we also have the join session. So we'll go over here to join session. Right click and do the same thing, join session game, and replace that bad boy, and that'll be it, literally. Okay. Success, failure, and play controller, and search result. All right. Delete that guy and this guy, put him back where his noodles are straight. Save, compile. That's it. The integration is complete. So what I'll go ahead and do is I will package this up, cook it out, and deploy it to 3 different machines, so we can do a server and then a party and transferring those people into the server, and we'll check that out. Now there will be some things that we could do to polish it up, like the locking the buttons and stuff like that. We'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and do that test now. All right, everything's been deployed, and I have it installed on 3 different Steam computers, and here's Bob. Bob is the man. So I'll go ahead and open it up and check out Jason Dev. I'll go ahead and give him a nice little invite. As I send the invite over, I'll get it accepted from the other side. And there we go. Accept is now clicked, and he pops in over here. Now I go ahead and talk to him, chat. Let's do some whispering, just to test everything. Hi.
And yes, he got a message back to me, and that message was received. Let's see if he chats back to me. Okay. Hello, hi back. And yes, everything works great. So what we can do is go ahead and we can try to go to multiplayer. We'll click on that, and we'll do host game and deathmatch and host it. So as we host the game, it'll go ahead and send the session information down to the party members, and they will go ahead and connect up also. As you see, Devereaux has now joined the match, and we can go ahead and ready up. And ready up on that side, and we're back in
4, 3,
back into the match
2,
with the
1.
countdown. All right, so now we're here. Everything's great. What I want to do is, okay, let's go. You know what? I don't want to host our own game. So I'm going to go ahead and see Devereaux in there too. Exit. Since I'm a host, it's going to actually kick him out automatically, and he's going to disconnect, and as he goes back to the main menu, he reconnects down here automatically. So now we're back to the same party. Let's go ahead and go to a different place. Let's go to multiplayer and server browser, and what we'll do is refresh, and we see, oh, Cyborg, yes. It's like a cousin to Bob. So we got to get Cyborg 4046. That sounds like a great place to play. So once I click on that, they'll take our party over to that server. So also you notice that the voice chat is working at the bottom, and as you can see, I'm connected in, and along with Cyborg, Devereaux, and Jason. And so now we can sit there and exit out of here, and we come back to the party, and the other Jason Dev needs to exit also, and once he does exit, he'll go ahead and connect up. There we go. He's exited out, and there he's connected up automatically. So everything is working pretty awesome. So there you have it. That's as easy as it is to get this integrated to your game. Some of the things you want to work on past this point is the menus, right? Right now, if I was actually, let's go ahead and disband. I'm going to invite from Jason Dev to show you what I'm talking about. So once I actually connect up here, hit accept, it'll go ahead and connect me to the party. Now the main thing is right now that you only want the party host to mess with the multiplayer and to go to the server and host a game. So you want to go ahead and add some code to block that out when you're in a party, and then when you're not in a party to unblock those options. And the last thing is when you do travel to like a server, you'll want a loading screen to pop up so you can just tie that into Alar's generic shooter loading screen. All right, so I want to take care of a couple more things before I finish the video up on how to polish up having your buttons disappear and stuff like that whenever you become part of a party. So let's go ahead and go over that now. Let's go to UI and then main menu and then menus. And we look for this widget called WBP_main menu nav. Once we open that up, I'm going to go to event construct. And then what we need to do is get a reference to the UI party panel. Now you can go ahead and add a reference to it manually any way you want to do it, but for video's sake, I'll go ahead and do it the easy, dirty way. We'll do right click and get all widgets of class, and then we'll go ahead and make that a party panel. And I like to be a little bit safe, so I'll go ahead and do the checks. So we'll make sure that we did find something. So we'll do a length, and then we'll do a get. And usually I like to make this as a reference, but for some reason it doesn't work all the time for all variables. It does for some. And then we'll want to go ahead and make sure that this is, something in it. Oops, sorry, branch off this one. And make sure that this is greater than 0. Greater than. Yes, there we go, we're good. Now we can get our party panel. And then what we can do is go ahead and bind event to party status updated. So, actually, what we want to do is assign. So it takes it does an extra step for us instead of actually have to assign it. It'll create the event for us here, and then we'll call. I want to call this update player menu locks, just so I know what it means exactly. All right, there we go. So now we set that binding up. There we go, true. And now anytime that there's a part of status update, the main menu will get a notification of it. So what we want to do is now we want to switch on the party status, and we want to find the multiplayer button here. We'll get that as a variable, and then we want to set is enabled. Control copy, paste it. There we go, and make that. And so basically, if we are party none, we want it enabled, and if we want party leader, we want it enabled, so we'll turn that enabled.
And then if we want it as a party member, we want to make sure that's disabled, and that's it for the buttons. So now whenever you're in a party as a member, the buttons will disable for party members. Only the party leader will have the multiplayer access. And vice versa, whenever you leave a party, this will get updated, and then you'll get control back. So there is the one thing I want to go over. The next thing I want to go over was the loading screen. So how do we do the loading screen? The best way I can tell you is I'll go to server browser, kind of look for some code that's already been made for server loading up for generic shooter. Create modal pop-up. He's got connecting to server, which is in the server browser. I'll go ahead and I'll just copy this right here, this chunk of code, copy, and we'll go back to our core here, which would be our added class for the player controller, PC SteamParty. And then remember that little note we left for it to come back, or we're here. So let's fill that bad boy in. Let's get that here. Oh yeah, and we just say, hey, there we go. And that's it. Save it. Now, whenever the party members get this joining party game, they also get the notification that they're joining the server too. So it's just a nice little thing to, you get a little bit of wait time. You're like, what's going on? What's going on? Now you have a notification that we're loading into the server. So it's nice to have feature. All right, so basically that's everything with generic shooter. If you guys have any questions or comments below, feel free to leave them, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Again, I want to do a great shout out to Game Making LLC. Alar is a great UE4 wizard with lots of great knowledge on programming, and his packs are top notch, and I definitely recommend everything that he makes. Again, this was for a generic shooter. You can find it underneath Game Making LLC. Click on that, and again, props out to him. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a great way to get up and running on a game. If you want to get your ideas on the table, this is the chessboard, and you can worry about the chess pieces. Again, if you have any questions, leave comments below. See you in the next video. Oh, actually, there was one more thing I do want to talk about. I know this question is going to be asked a lot, so I want to preemptively answer the question. What about if we want to go to, let's go to the main menu, hit play. If we want to go to multiplayer, and then we want to host game, and we want team deathmatch. How do we join the party on the same team in the team deathmatch? Well, there is an answer for that, but that's a completely another video for that. So that'll be coming out soon. There is some things on the back end that has to happen, because by default, Steam will not allow you to bring people into a party together. So to do that, you have to have a reservation system for 100% guarantee of everybody getting into the spots. And then also you need to relay that information of what team that the person is joining into. So that is not supported by default either, because if you do reserve, and well, you don't reserve, you just say, hey, join this session. By the time they actually get all the session information to all the party members and actually start connecting up, someone else external of your party, another player around the world, could actually be filling that spot in before you even finish searching it, the results to your party members. So there's no guarantee that all spots that you look for, let's say you have 8 players, you want to go to a server that has 8 spots only open left, and if you poll that server and say, okay, we'll take that, and we start loading all your players in there, someone else could have jumped in and knocked out one of the spots, so only 7 players of your party will make it in there. So in a future update, there will be a mechanism with a reservation system to allow that to happen. So look forward for that in the video to come in the future. Thanks again.